Hi, I'm Darren. Welcome to Industry Futures, the video series where innovation meets insight. When you're looking to invest in technology, the timing is super critical. We feel that investing in mechatronics is a perfect solution to deliver production and process improvements. To navigate this topic, I would like to introduce Mark Beddington. Mark, thanks for being with us today. And we've got the important topic of mechatronics. But before we get into looking at the robot and the other elements, please introduce yourself and your mechatronics focus role, please.
Yeah, so I'm Mark Beddington. I'm the Mechatronics ICT and Vision Sales Leader for Routeco UK. So what that entails is I look after the strategy for how Routeco are driving forward their mechatronics solutions, also their independent cart technology from Rockwell, as well as the Cognex vision system and KO laser marking.
Brilliant. So when you look at it, when you type in mechatronics within Google, it comes up with thousands of different opinions about what it looks like. Yeah. For me to understand a bit more about it, and also the audience to understand what you think mechatronics looks like in terms of kind of technologies that it involves and encompasses.
Yeah, so mechatronics is applicable to all industries. So what the class is mechatronics, that covers anything from industrial automation, robotics, automatic guided vehicles, and that sort of ilk. You know, from a standpoint of Routeco, our mechatronics sort of solution, as it were. So, you know, you've got your core robots, cobots, but then you've also then got your other technologies that sit around that and complement it, from our end-of-line palletizer to our vision solutions, our laser marking, safety, the integration in with Rockwell PLC, and it all forms part of the solution that we like to offer to our customers. So it's even the end effectors as well. We work with some really key partners that have got some really innovative ideas around the end effector piece that works in tandem with our palletizer solution.
So the way you're describing that, Mark, it's like a complete solution from one supplier. I think that's such an important factor. Yeah. That there's lots of businesses that can do just robotics, but we can do robotics and all these other elements. When you look at the investment that's needed for robotics, and I've looked at the scale of robot density in the UK is kind of off the chart because we're nowhere. Yeah. So again, the UK needs to invest in robotic technology. What are you finding some of the barriers are for customers looking to invest in robotics to start off with, and then leading on to a bigger mechatronics offer?
I suppose the initial thing that can be a perceived barrier is the cost. We work with customers to look at various solutions to fit within their manufacturing process to see what changes they want to make as well. And there's also this worry that people perceive that there's going to be job losses. That isn't the case. Take, for example, our palletizing solution. That is to remove that repetitive workflow that somebody from picking up a box to twisting and dropping a box and doing that 7 to 8 hours a day, which then can incur potential injuries if people are off sick or whatever. Automating that end-of-line process, you can then redeploy that resource somewhere else within your factory. But you know that it's still been taken care of and it's going to work 24/7, 7 days a week. You've just got to keep on feeding it with boxes and taking the full pallets away. So, in that instance, that's where we try and talk to our customers about means and ways they can make some of these manual processes more automated, because it's only going to be more beneficial for their business further down the line, because we can look at return on investment paybacks. We can look at the means and ways it all actually sort of benefit their business longer term. So we've got various options we can look at, but the key thing is sitting down and talking with the customer and trying to understand what they're trying to achieve, what they're looking to do in the future, and how the solutions that we have can fit into that.
It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Each individual customer, depending on what type of customer they are, or each have got an opinion about robotics and mechatronics, and again, I think it's really, really powerful message that you need to involve lots of people within a business to make that investment change. Yeah. So you also mentioned about the people side and people losing jobs. Like yourself, I don't see it as people losing jobs. I think that's an opportunity to reinvest in those people, and it addresses the skills gap challenge, isn't it? Okay,
Definitely.
is that an important topic that you're hearing from customers as well, about trying to retrain people and address the skills gap?
There's the retraining people, but there's also sometimes the actual acquisition of people in the first place. A lot of businesses at the moment tend to sort of struggle with labour, because they have labour shortages, because there's certain things that not everybody wants to go and do. And I know that the government at the moment is trying to redress that. We're looking at means and ways of getting people to work. So if we can look at, you know, some of these labour intensive or repetitive jobs by putting a robotic solution in, we can take that away and then refocus on the more important aspects of where people need to be deployed. Rolls into that whole thing of upskilling workforce and employing people to do more skilled work in factories.
And again, it's retention, isn't it, of people? You know, you invest in them, they retain them, okay, and they can grow and develop as individuals as well, transferable skills. Mark, that's brilliant. Thanks very much for giving us a good insight, okay, into the kind of Routeco mechatronics offer. I know there's lots of pieces of jigsaw puzzle to give a solution, and customers can choose the pieces they want. Okay, I normally start with the corners if I'm doing a puzzle, but that's just the easiest option. But it'd be good now, okay, to have a look at the robot in a bit more detail, some of the technology and some of the phrases and that we use, and some of the global brands that we're working with. Okay, so thanks for giving us that insight. Let's move on and look at the robot.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mark, we've moved the table and chairs away. Now we're in front of the robot cell. So let's start with the heart of any solution. Let's look at the robot. So we've got a Comau robot here. It looks like Rebel S on the sides. Tell us a bit more about Comau as a business, but also, okay, a little bit more about this robot and a bit more about the accuracy.
Certainly, yeah. So Comau are an Italian-based company, and they offer quite an extensive range of robots from the Rebel S, which is right down the bottom end, all the way up to several 100-kilogram lifting capability for their higher-end robots and everything in between, whether it be SCARA, 4-axis, 6-axis. All of the control is done from a standard safety PLC, utilising kinetics drives, and that's controlling the Comau robot there.
It's brilliant. So again, high repeat accuracy on the SCARA robot. I think, okay, for me, I'm sure we're going to be showing it, you know, moving later on in this video. So again, that's ideal for people, okay, they want fast movement, high accuracy and repeatability, don't they, okay, going forward?
Definitely. Yeah, this particular model has got a repeatable accuracy of 0.02 millimeters. Some of the other, you know, larger ones up to 0.05, so it's a very accurate system. And as I touched upon before, you know, these SCARA robots in particular, they're good for pick and place assembly, but they do have other types of robots up to 6-axis that we can then control within the within the Rockwell controller. And just to touch upon as well, a lot of pre-work has been done with Comau, so that there are blocks already built that can be downloaded within Logix. So all the geometrics and parameterization are hidden away within some blocks. So all you've got to do is put your data in. Data comes out to control. So it's trying to take that, lift the veil basically away from that complexity around what traditional sort of robot control has been like, and then bringing that right back, making it easy to use, so that control engineers they've got experience with programming PLCs, they've got experience with motion, they can easily adapt into programming robots.
You don't have additional costs with separate robot software solutions and managing it and training and all those additional costs. If you've got Rockwell on site and you're using Studio 5000, you've got safety PLCs, and as you say, right, okay, you've got, you know, an understanding of motion, or it could be an opportunity to grow and learn more about motion, okay, with this solution. It's not a massive investment, it's just obviously a time piece, isn't it, okay, to then start using these types of robots.
It is, yeah. It's just investment and time from the engineer. You know, we can look at means and ways of upskilling those engineers in conjunction with Rockwell, so the engineers got a better understanding how to utilise this technology.
Brilliant. And again, with any robot application, I'm seeing lots of vision and vision sensors. So tell us more about Cognex, a bit more about them as an organisation, and some of the technologies and the unique features they're offering.
Cognex of Celsius, they're a world-leading manufacturer of vision products, barcode readers, sensors. In this particular model, we've got the Insight 3800, which is one of their really key products that they've got out in the market. This is actually, we're using it in conjunction with some Comau laser marked pucks. So there's 6 good pucks and 1 bad puck, and we're using that as to simulate that you know, the Cognex are picking up an issue with one of the products and then registering that with the PLC, so that in a production environment that would be either a reject or something, or a rework that needed to be done.
That's brilliant. So again, vision, you hear lots about the benefits of vision, about, you know, deep learning, AI, and obviously we've come a long way from, you know, standard optical sensors and inductive sensors, and again, that's Ethernet IP back into that Rockwell heart as well.
As with anything you'll see on this demo today, Darren, the Comau robot, the Cognex, the Magnum Mover lights, the safety system, everything is then connected via Ethernet to the controller. So it's that full connectivity.
Tell us more about this conveyor system, this, you know, independent cart technology, this Magnum Mover product.
Yeah, so the Magnum Mover light that we've got on our demo suite here is part of the independent cart technology from Rockwell. So they have the Magnum Mover light, they have the Quick Stick and Quick Stick HT, and also the eye track. It allows us the flexibility of bi-directional movement, accuracy, repeatability that you wouldn't necessarily get with a standard conveyor system, because conveyors inherently usually move in one direction. Once set up, you can have, you know, equal spacing, they can concertina together, they can move and ebb and flow throughout the process. So if you've got a 1 second operation, 2 and a 3, it'll then collate and move with the flow of production. It's also a very expandable system as well. We've got a small example here, but this can be magnified out to an entire production floor if necessary, with multiple lanes all close together, with multiple applications feeding those lanes. And as you can see, Darren, the actual technology itself, it's very, very small, very neat. It doesn't take up an awful lot of room in your production floor. So again, you're minimising the space, but maximising the amount of impact you can have with this technology. With any application, we will go to a customer site, we will talk it through with them, and go through those initial discussions to ensure that what we're actually proposing is appropriate and correct for that application.
As we mentioned earlier, all customers require different things. They've all got different skills and abilities, and everyone, it's that cliche, but they're all on a different, slightly different journey, aren't they? Okay. So the last product we've got on the front here is the GuardLink, isn't it? Okay. So
it is.
Tell us a bit more about that.
So the GuardLink is a safety system from Rockwell, where it utilises a ring around your machine or safety circuit, and then you tap off down to, we're using locking mechanisms for the doors, but you can also drop down to e-stops, light curtains, and it's a very, very good, very easy to use diagnostic tool that gives a lot of functionality back to the customer. With the you know, the drop-off points themselves, it's a quick and visual aid. So if somebody's come along and accidentally tapped an e-stop and they pulled the e-stop back out, in older systems you'd spend ages sort of walking around the machine trying to understand, well, what stopped, why is it stopped. These things will actually give you a visual identification of where the issue was, so you can actually understand it more. You'll get diagnostic feedback back across the network, which will then go via Ethernet to the PLC, so you can then put reporting up onto the HMI, so you can actually identify the area of where the issue was. So it allows that faster identification of problems or areas where you might have had issue.
I know we've got some great products on the side here, which we'll show some pictures on. So tell us a bit more about those elements and why they should be also an important part of a mechatronic solution for our customers.
The particular Grace products that we've got on this demo unit, that allows ease of accessibility, provides you some external power if needed, also communication, so you then don't have to open up the panel to be able to plug in to access, you know, if you need to do some fault diagnostics. There's also some other functionality and stuff, you know, depending on the type of Grace unit that you do, but we wanted to showcase on this particular model some of the functionality you can get with Grace products, you know, to allow you to access the control panel without actually opening the control panel, because again that poses its own problems of having to switch things off, and then, you know, accessibility of somebody getting in there. What you want to do is remove that and be able to just remotely connect in.
Absolutely, downtime is minimised. If you just want to analyse or check on some things, okay, you can easily get access to it, but in a safe environment. Okay, production just keeps on going.
And we've, on this particular demo unit, we have taken it a step further. So we've actually got an Ixon remote access unit that can then monitor remotely from within their cloud. You can get functional OEE data, you can see what the machine's doing, hours run. So there's a lot of functionality you can get to remote access information from this thing. And of course, that also lends itself, you know, with the right sort of cybersecurity in place to be able to remote in to do fault finding, so that engineers don't then predominantly have to sort of travel to site to do the fault finding. They can check things remotely and liaise with the on-site engineers.
You know, as we were speaking earlier in the kind of introduction piece, from Routeco, it's about all the different elements, isn't it? Okay.
It is, yeah.
And we have experience, we have the knowledge, and again, it's all linked into giving some real true value. So you're not dealing with multiple suppliers; you're dealing with one supplier for a complete solution going forward.
That's definitely it, yeah. But it's always been the same with Routeco. We have those core products, but we also have that additional portfolio of solutions that all fit in with those key products.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much for your time today. So this is the first video. We've got some other robots that
we certainly have
cells that we're going to be talking about. So again, please look out for more videos coming very shortly. Thanks for your time today, Mark.
Thank you, Darren.